You see, there's a curious thing about children, a delicate yet profound truth. When they're left to explore, not burdened with ready-made answers, something magical happens. They begin to inquire, to wonder, and yet we seem so afraid of that wonder, don't we? We rush to hand them answers, as if the answer is more valuable than the question itself. But pre-packaged answers, you must understand, are dull. They are lifeless. To give a child an answer without the quest is to rob them of wisdom and offer mere information. For true intelligence, real growth, emerges not from knowing but from the art of questioning deeply. Instead of answering, give the child a challenge, a puzzle, a problem vast enough to stir their imagination. Let their minds sharpen as they stretch beyond comfort, beyond safety. Let them inquire so profoundly that the question itself begins to pulse through them. Not merely intellectual, but existential, a question of being. But of course, this is what the world fears most. Society trembles at the idea of a mind that thinks freely, for who can predict where such a mind will wander? A child allowed true freedom might never return to the safe beliefs of their parents. They may question doctrines, reject the familiar faiths, see through the comforting illusions. And so the system intervenes early. Fear is instilled, self-doubt planted like a seed. You see, the first task of control is to break trust, the trust a child has in their own spirit. Make them doubt their own intelligence, make them question their worth. Once fear takes root, they become easy to shape, easy to manage. A child who believes in themselves cannot be controlled. But a child whose trust in their own mind has been fractured. They will forever seek external authority. They will follow orders. They will conform. A good citizen, a model believer, a loyal follower, but not a free spirit, not a true individual. The tragedy is not just control, but the severing of roots. A human being, like a tree, needs deep roots to grow, roots of self-trust, roots of inner stillness. Without them, life becomes a perpetual drift, an endless search for external validation. And you see, to live uprooted is to live in quiet misery, to be lost. But society loves control. The priests, the politicians, the professors, they depend on this carefully crafted helplessness. And so they whisper, "You are incomplete. Trust us. Follow us. Obey us." They fear what would happen if you stood firm, whole, unshaken. But here's the secret they won't tell you. Within you lies the power of absolute freedom. Not the freedom of rebellion, but the freedom of being. No one can truly possess you unless you forget your own sovereignty. And that is why the greatest revolution is not in the streets, but in the mind. The quiet revolution of self-trust, self-love. Now this doesn't mean arrogance. No. It means seeing yourself as a vital expression of existence, as valuable and irreplaceable as the stars or the sea. For you were brought into being not as a mistake, but as a stroke of creative necessity. Existence desired you. And when you understand this, truly feel it, the need for external approval begins to dissolve. And yes, you will still face the critics, the doubters. They will call you selfish for loving yourself. They will say, "Who are you to trust your own mind, to follow your own heart?" But you see, their fear is not of your arrogance, it's of your power. For a person who trusts themselves cannot be controlled. And once you trust yourself, once you root deeply in your own being, an extraordinary thing happens. You begin to trust others. You see their goodness, their potential. You understand that trust, in its purest form, is not naivety, but wisdom. To trust, to be vulnerable, is to invite the world closer, not to retreat from it. So, begin there. Not with grand revolutions, but with the simple act of trusting yourself. Let go of the endless self-criticism. Stand tall in the knowledge that you are enough, just as you are. Love yourself, not as an act of vanity, but as the foundation of all other love. For how can you truly love another if you have not learned to cherish yourself? And when you truly trust, something miraculous occurs. The world reflects that trust back. A life once filled with fear begins to blossom. Not because you controlled it, but because you finally let go. And in that letting go, you become free. Completely, beautifully free.